I just
It's good.
thought, let's just.
I like your eagerness. It's great.
Well,
No, it's perfect.
do you know what I mean?
It's good. Congratulations. Oh my God, congratulations. Harris, I'm going to start with you just in terms of when did you know you wanted to write and direct, I guess is my first question.
Probably quite young. Like I was making these short films as a kid, and then I was making skate videos quite young, and then I had this really bad comedy web series that I used to release that maybe like 4 people at school would watch, and then yeah, I don't know. I was trying to, maybe at one point I thought maybe I'd be a camera operator. Like I really just loved like filming, and then I got to an age, and then I discovered acting simultaneously, and it kind of took over, I guess. And then I was trying to keep it going on the side, you know. Yeah.
What was the catalyst to write this, first of all? What inspired you and what kind of gave you the confidence to actually kind of put this down on paper?
I made a short film with the BBC when I was like 22 or 23, and then sort of quickly after they said, have you got anything longer? And I was like, yes. And I had this really bad version of this that was like 150 pages that I sort of thought, you know, yeah. They asked for longer, yeah. Here's my epic film. Yeah.
It's a 3-parter.
It's a 3-part period epic, yeah. No, I don't know. I wanted to create like an intense character study, and I knew that I didn't want to make it too plot driven, and I wanted to make it about consequence, and I wanted to test people's tolerance for the lead character and test people's sort of empathy for someone who was in a pretty precarious situation, and to see how much we would kind of stay with him, you know, despite all of the decisions he makes or doesn't make. So it started there, really, yeah.
When did you first read the script? What was your reaction to this character?
I mean, it would have been near on 2 years ago now. You know, when I first read the script, it was there was a kind of blankness to the character. Harris had I had written something that was really open to interpretation, and when I began to dig into the themes that Harris had set this character's life in, and all the things that surrounded him, and you know, he would just hint at things in the stage directions, like, you know, hinting at foster care or addiction, and these kinds of things are really I think important to talk about, and so my first impression was that just kind of I felt it was an important film, and you don't really read scripts like this very often where the heart of the thing is so pure.
What were the elements that were particularly important for you to include within this script that, you know, like Frank was saying, like people would either talk about or they reflect on, or it would really make them pay attention to?
I don't know. I wanted to sort of see how far we could go with someone who's kind of fallen between the cracks, and it was interesting to me how we can bring hope to it as well, and not make too much of a victim of him, and kind of, I saw the film as like separate sections. In each new section he kind of encounters someone, like an odyssey that gives him a branch for potential change, and he kind of doesn't go with it in the right way. And you know, even in the kitchen, for example, that was potentially like a catalyst for change. And then same with the Andrea section and her friends, and it's like so close to being change for him and transformative. And then ultimately the only person that he's kind of battling is himself in all of it, you know.
Well, that's a kind of testament to your writing, but also your directing, where as an audience you're kind of going, come on, Mike, make the right decision. Or, you know, you're kind of you're so kind of invested in this, the character and the story sort of straight away. And bringing together your team to kind of help you do that and collaborate on this film. Do you mind talking a little bit about how you put that together and who was important for you to bring into that team?
Yeah, I mean, I was developing it for a long time with Archie Perch, who's our producer, and then Scott O'Donnell came on, and then we were lucky that our DOP Jose Dea was. I mean, it was interesting. She'd never shot a film in London, and she'd never been to London, so there was like a certain collision that was quite useful for the way that we discovered the film together. I don't know. It was interesting that she. We were trying to avoid certain things, but then it was inevitable, certain locations. And then you know, every department really. It was I asked a lot of everyone for a very very small budget. So yeah, but how many locations was it? Like 36. Yeah,
36.
that was Karen, our locations manager.
She's got it tattooed on her wrist.
Yeah, 36. And that was a big challenge as well, locations. And I think a lot of it was my naivety. I didn't know. I'd never made a film, so I kind of I wrote all of these places, and I was like, now he goes here, and then he goes here. I wrote a lot of characters. I wrote, so, costume, art department, casting, locations, camera. I really tested people, but that's why they were amazing, because no one said no, and they just looked how.
But
so
that's
I'm
testament
lucky.
to what you've given them to play with, in terms of this script.
Forced them. Didn't give them a bloody choice.
Well, the locations are really important, in terms of the journey of the character and kind of how immersed we are in the story. Were there particular ones that were important for you, the authenticity of Mike's story?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like a lot of the locations were in Hackney, Stratford, London Fields. So like obviously spent a lot of time around there, and it was nice to be able to slowly plot out where you think certain things are going to be. And then the hotel that Mike worked at I used to work there for like 4 years. So did my partner, so did my sister. And we went back there, and obviously I wrote it in mind, and the head chef at the time later came onto the film and was our advisor. So he taught Frank to cook, and it was like this weird little situation where I was all of a sudden back in the kitchen where I worked when I was like 19, and it was closed down. So it was cool, and we redecorated it completely. I didn't personally, but and then the field where he litter picks with Andrea, I worked there. I was in charge of the 2 bins for a bit. It's London Bridge. So
Wow. Putting your personal experience in there, which you could pull from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I imagine. How was the experience for you, just thinking back on it? You say I've never made a film before, but I mean, the response to this is extraordinary, and quite rightly so. How was it for you?
It was special. It was really special. It was I don't know, we were really lucky in the sense that genuinely everyone that came on and made it with us was just like a beautiful person that really, wanted to be there and try and push to make the best thing possible. So the spirit of that, I think it like impacts a film, and whether it's good or bad, but like the experience of doing it with people that you love was like, yeah, you couldn't have asked for more than that, really. Yeah.
Frank, in terms of shooting the journey kind of emotionally of the character, did you get the luxury of shooting in order or not? In terms of where he was at that particular moment, kind of to navigate that is quite an extraordinary thing to watch.
I think we did not in order, but I think we did shoot slightly like in order, didn't we? We didn't shoot the end first, did we?
No. We spent the first part of the shoot on like a lot of the street stuff pre-prison, and then after that it was
Yeah, so not completely in order, but we were kind of I was able to grade the performance in real time to a certain degree, which I think was really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's sort of delicacies of the shift in his, his emotional state or his mental state. The little things can make a big impact on him, and it's an extraordinary performance to watch you kind of go through that. Really.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that in many ways was what the film became about for me. Was these very small delicate moments meaning so much to someone, as they do to all of us. But if you maybe don't have as much, the small things can really count. And these small human connections, making a friend or getting a job, and these were the sort of climaxes of this character's joy in those moments. So yeah, I think in many ways Harris wrote a very sensitive story, as in it wasn't like, when I first read it, there wasn't these massive, huge things that happened. It was kind of small everyday things that needed to mean a lot.
Did you get a choice in the karaoke song?
No.
Is that a personal favorite?
I don't know why that song was there. I mean, I love it.
Is that
but
Rose at all? I always thought.
No, I think it was just a period of trying to find like a sincere pop ballad situation, and
Yeah, it's such a beautiful fucking song.
but also what's interesting about that scene is that if you I remember saying to the guys on the day, like, just do it really like high stakes. Don't have fun. Just do it like it's like really serious and like simple and severe, and then
Yeah.
as a result you get something that's actually quite sad, like, as opposed to being just like another fun karaoke silly
Yeah.
scene. It was supposed to be like a bit of a crescendo for Mike emotionally, in terms of like connection as well. So the song's a banger,
And
we tried to get him to perform tonight.
Yeah.
well, we have a surprise
Yeah, welcome.
down the aisle. But also that idea of being in it, and of being a part in the film as well. How was that for you, kind of switching roles of being behind the camera to being in front of the camera?
Oh, it was awful. I didn't no, really, I didn't it sounds like an excuse, but I didn't mean to be in it. We had someone lined up and they dropped out like a week before, and then offered it to, auditioned a few people, and ultimately in my like controlling sort of overthinking brain thought it was a good idea for me to just do it.
Wow, I mean, I feel like I thought it was a good idea for you to. I mean, you were
Yeah,
pretty
you forced
resistant
me.
for a while.
Yeah.
You really didn't. You were like, you had a. Yeah, I remember sending you a very long text, being like, trying to seduce you into like playing the part with me.
It felt like a big ask to have an actor come on like a week before and step into the world there was a lot to try and understand and realize, and not that someone couldn't have done that, but I don't know, I just felt like I knew what it had to be for the film, and we'd already been reading stuff together, so it felt like it made sense. But it was hard. There was days where I don't know how people do that, really. It was a lot of code switching, and like the scene when we're rolling around on the floor together in Stratford, and we're like fighting, and I'm like, cut, right. I'm like, wait a minute, what shot are you on over there? And it's like, it's mad, it's not normal, it's not I'm in like
charity
those
shop, you
silly
just wanted
pajama trousers, and I'm like marching over, like, right, like trying to be taken seriously. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like,
It's
And in
caressing
the charity
over.
shop, you just wanted to do one take. You were just like, right, I think we got it. Like,
yeah. And Archie was like, I think you do a few more, it's okay.
Yeah.
Probably need to do a few more.
Just like lying on that shag pile carpet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It totally hit home.
Well, yeah, because also originally that scene where I'm in with the snake, I wrote it. Jason crawls with Y fronts on, and me and Kobe, our costume designer, had a joke when I came into the fit, and I was like, Kobe, I'm not wearing Y fronts. I just want to make it very clear. He was like, oh yeah. I was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, that was for someone else. Like, no.
I'm the director, don't you know? I'm not wearing Y fronts.
Yeah.
Stood there in your Y fronts going, okay, cut, let's do another take.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
What was the edit process like for you? In terms of those kind of different stages as a director of getting the story the way you want it to be told.
It was amazing. We've got our editor here tonight, Raf. He really felt like he understood the film immediately and challenged me in all the best ways. I mean, we had an amazing experience. I don't know, something quite weird about, like, because Raf was on something else, I spent like 3 weeks just watching everything, and I really thought that I knew which takes I liked, because we didn't do loads of coverage. We just spent more time doing takes. So there was times where it was like a wide, or that, transitioned into something else. And then So there was at times there was like 9 takes, and I thought, oh yeah, take 6 is for sure the one. I don't care what anyone says. And then I'd sit with Raf, and they'd be like, for me, take 9 and 10 are the best. And I'd be like, no. And then I watch, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, actually. And so it was really nice to have someone challenge you in all the best ways. It was a beautiful process. Yeah.
How was he as a director?
Yeah, really good. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it?
I mean, he did it.
Yeah, no.
No
As a director, you know, actually, it's more in hindsight. I appreciate Harris's direction, and in the moment, I did as well. But in the moment, you know, I was saying this time, it kind of felt like we were just like, because we both live in East London, and we had been like thinking about this so much and working together so much and so excited to start shooting, that it was really kind of a joyful experience, and just like kids playing many times, like, oh yeah, try this, or like, what if I do that, like, yeah, or, don't do that. So it's only in hindsight that I look back and I really appreciate how Harris made space for so much experimentation, and also was so decisive. I mean, that was something that that I was really grateful for, is Harris would come up to me and he'd be like, we've got it, enough, stop, you know? And that kind of clarity of knowing what he wanted always is quite rare, actually. And to feel that, and he would have a great way of disappearing and appearing as well. Sometimes I'd walk on set and I couldn't see him, like, and then he'd suddenly be there, or you know, I'd do the thing and he'd just come and say a few things. It's true.
Where were you?
You know, it was like he had a
Very much there.
You were there.
That sounds like I was off doing something else.
You were there, but
I
I
was
just
just
mean
like
you knew when to give.
behind the monitor crying. Like,
You knew when to give space, and you knew when to come in. You know, you knew when it was like, okay, just go, keep going, or when it would be like, try this, or do it like this, or what, think about this. And that kind of front-footedness is really, as an actor, I really appreciate it, and also because Harris is such a brilliant actor himself, there was a kind of no nonsense about it. It'd be like, no, that's boring, you know. I've seen that before. Try something else, you know. There was like a kind of practicality to the way we communicated, which I think was I really appreciated.
Well, it clearly works. You've made something just so beautiful, and I'm so excited about this journey for you as a storyteller as well in this form. So thank you so much for your time tonight. Please, huge round of applause, please, for Frank and Harris.
cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.